Sup baby girl, welcome to the finale of Let's Play the Battle of Olympus. At the beginning of Tartarus, you have to choose your path. If you choose the wrong path, you will have to fight a boss battle. The first wrong path takes you to a fight against Golden Cyclops. The second wrong path takes you to a fight against the Gree sisters. The third wrong path takes you to a fight against Amazons. And the fourth wrong path takes you to a fight against two Dark Pegasi. And so the correct path is left, left, right, left. That'll take you to the real boss, Cerberus, the three-headed hellhound, guardian of the underworld. This fight isn't too difficult as long as you correctly time the first hit. Of course, Cerberus was the 12th and final labor of Heracles. I like the way the game has us do the first two labors early in the game, and then near the end of the game we do the last two labors. Now if we go through this door, we'll find the first nymph. Remember, we've been hearing that the nymphs were going to help us out in Tartarus. So whenever you find a nymph, they'll restore your health. Anyway, they step up the difficulty level here in Tartarus. This area can be pretty frustrating if you're not careful. Your first priority is do not fall to your death. Your second priority is to stay away from the bats. And of course one hits me right as I say that. That's why I've been trying to clear out all the bats before I make any of my jumps. Now for the last part, you just want to get on the ceiling without getting hit by the bat. Alright, we made it, so we can move on to the next section. I think this part is easier because it's less likely that you'll fall to your death, but it's also more likely that you'll take a few hits. In particular, these green guys, the ghosts, can be pretty annoying around here. I'm doing pretty well at the start, but I don't have much patience with this giant snake. Yeah, I screwed that up. I should have been more defensive like I usually am. Gotta wait for the right timing. I was just trying to get through it without wasting too much time. Now the path is gonna split here. If you take the upper path, you continue forward. But I'm gonna take the lower path so that I can show you something. We have found the second nymph, and she can restore our health. Unfortunately, we need it because I played so sloppily against the giant snake. Now we'll make our way back, and this time we'll take the top path, and that'll take us to the next section. By now you might have caught on to the fact that each section of Tartarus that we go through is a more challenging version of each region of Greece. For example, when we first came in, the area with the different paths represented the labyrinth of Crete. And then after that we moved to the green area. That represented a more difficult version of Peloponnesus. The gold-colored area that we just finished represented the enemy dodging that you had to do in Laconia. And now we're pretty clearly in the caves of Argolis here. I'm very pleased with the way I handled those caves. I didn't take a single hit, and I'm still at full health. So of course right here is where the third nymph is. And I don't need her to restore my health. That was the last nymph, so we're not going to get any more free health refills for the rest of the game. We're going to move on to the next section, and this section represents the Stairways of Phrygia. It is the last section of the game. Welcome to Hades' Palace! The music gets really evil here. They're definitely building up to the climactic ending. With this Lamia here, it's possible to run straight through without taking a hit, but I'd say if you can get through with only one hit, you take that. Here's the final new enemy of the game, the Gold Snake. It moves the same way as all the other snakes do, it's just a stronger version. For us, with all our power-ups, it takes 2 hits to kill it. Sup, old lady? You want to sell me nectar? I don't think so. I've already got nectar. And equipping it right now would probably be a good idea in case I screw this part up. And did she really need to throw in that insult that I can't beat Hades? I'll show you, you old bag. Now here you really want to kill these 3 enemies right away. Because if you try to go up there, they will knock you back into that pit. And you don't just go down the stairs back into the last room, you will die. But once you get through that part, it's pretty smooth sailing for the rest of the way. I'm going to take a few hits because these gargoyles fly into you at weird angles. But for the most part, I'm just going to stab some snakes. Well, really the rest of the way, my main concern is not falling into pits and dying. So the rest of the way, I'm gonna review Tartarus as an endgame area. Interestingly enough, I think that Zelda 2 has one of the best endgame areas. What makes a good endgame area? The first thing is that it needs to be the most challenging part of the game. This game did well in that area, but the second thing is that the endgame needs to have new elements. Here, I like the idea of taking the old tasks and creating new challenges, but they could have included either a new kind of puzzle or some new enemies. And the third thing is that the final area should have a memorable look. Zelda 2's Great Palace had that memorable orange scheme. Here, instead of a bunch of random ugly colors, they could have rocked the classic black and silver. Oh my god, it's Lily! She's been turned to stone! Hades must be near! Let's get the moon crystal ready! Activating the moon crystal will allow us to see Hades' shadow for the final battle! Now the way that I'm gonna fight him, I don't think it's that cheap. I think that it's the intelligent way to fight him. The way that I like to think of it is that if I were really fighting somebody who had kidnapped my beloved Lily, there is no way that I would give them any chance to get an attack on me. I would utilize perfect technique so that there is no possibility of the fight ending any way other than my enemy destroyed. After enough hits, you get to see the real Hades, and you'll be able to see my technique more clearly. I kneel down, wield my sword like a chainsaw, and shoot a lightning bolt into his legs when he jumps back. Bam! And that's it! After 13 hits by me and 0 hits by him, the fight is over and Lily is saved. Aphrodite's power is contained within the 3 fragments of love, and so we are able to cure Lily from her stoned state. What will my beloved Lily say upon seeing my face? Yes, I went through a lot for you, Lily. You're welcome. I'm glad that you're happy to see me. Ah yes, the village of Elis. I wanted to return to the village of Elis too, but I wanted to return with Lily by my side. That's a Final Fantasy X reference, and that's the end of the game. As for the epilogue, let's just say that Xavier fulfilled Lily's dreams of receiving Greek love. Alright, I've got 1 minute to review this game. The love story is actually the weakest part of the game. Here's why. A love story, by definition, is supposed to tell the story of how 2 people fell in love, not that they are in love. We're constantly told that these 2 love each other, but we have no idea why. They don't even need to be dynamic characters, I just want some kind of motivation. Why is Xavier willing to go to the underworld to kill Hades for this girl? The writing is about as good as you can expect from an NES game. There's none of that congratulation English. They obviously did a lot of research on the ancient Greek myths and locations, and then they implemented that into a Zelda 2 engine, but when you put it that way, you could say that the game suffers from lack of originality. The music is very good by NES standards, the sound is always appropriate for the mood of the area, and Peloponnesus and Tartarus are especially excellent tracks. The best compliment that I can give the game is that it's challenging instead of cheap. What's the difference? In a challenging game, you can think your way to a solution. In a cheap game, they make it almost impossible for you. Ultimately, I think that this game should be ranked right up there with Metroid and Zelda among the best games on the NES. There are some simple ways that it could be improved, but it's a lot of fun to play. I give it a 9.5 out of 10. Well, there's the end graphics, so I get some out of time. I've got to bounce, but I'll catch you cats later.